All right, let's work. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in podcast land. What episode are we on? 38, right?
38, sir.
Episode 38. This is Ney and Pipe with the PVC crew. Of course, you don't see these laughing in the background. Y'all know what it is. You know we've been acting a fool the whole morning. You know how the squatty gets down, man. I got Paul and Vic with your boy, of course.
How'd you order the salad? It's a decoration.
So
you can't be a fat person going to a burger saying, ask for a double cheeseburger with extra fries and then with a small salad. That don't make no sense.
Knowing that you wanted them fries, extra crispy.
The person who taking your order gonna look at you weird, like, really, Negro, really? A small salad with a big ass thing of double fries and a quarter with cheese.
No, it's like I'm eating healthy now. I got a salad, motherfucker. That salad was covered in bacon, croutons, and ranch. Ain't nothing healthy about it.
And you know what's so messed up when you see people trying to decorate their salad? Like, you know what? I wonder if this tastes good with some bacon bits. You know, put a little meat in it.
Man, that's how I get down.
I'm gonna put some bacon. I'm gonna put some bacon. I'm gonna put some chicken. I'm gonna put some croutons. I'm gonna drench it in ranch. All right, I'm gonna drink it.
If I make a salad, I like to put Baileys and then fucking No, not Baileys. I mean spinach. And I chop up some green onions and then.
Then you eat your fries.
Yeah. With the monster. He's had a
tall can.
It's called a tall can of Monster.
Why do I drink
stuff?
A little watermelon on the side.
Why do I drink? It's what I am, Cam. That's why I drink it.
It's what we are.
I drink it because it tames the monster within.
I rip the shirt off and says monster.
Oh, but God.
Don't mind the misspelling.
Yeah, be all crooked. That ain't a monster. That's a tear there.
I don't say monster. That says mobster. What is this?
Oh,
God. Start.
Episode 38.
We are going. It's episode 38. You know what it is, man. Y'all didn't even introduce yourself. Y'all shooting jokes about salads and stuff, knowing that people have a problem right now. Anywho, you know how we do, man. I got my man Paul in the building. Paul, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? Episode 38. Glad you tuned in. Sorry for the misunderstanding, but me and Vic up here shooting these jokes. This is how we do it with the squad. Every time we get to the table, it's on a cracker. So I'm gonna pass it to my boy Vic.
Give him a kiss.
Vic, we ain't going no kiss.
We on camera.
We ain't doing that.
I say that for Valentine's Day for the ladies.
Act like he an e-girl or something.
Damn, that's around the corner too, Cam.
That's right. We gonna get there.
We gonna dress you up. We gonna make.
We gonna get there.
We gonna go to the big leagues. We're gonna start a Twitch stream for you. Paulina.
You know, actually, that was my Halloween name. I ain't gonna tell y'all that story.
Ain't doing that.
That's another story.
He gonna incriminate us.
Oh, don't worry, Carmen. We'll got one for you.
No. Y'all ain't got that. Nope.
I'm just turning to the crime.
You ain't got us acting like it's too long flew up in here. Nah, nope. You got us.
Listen, Paul, I got a
And then Victor be Victoria.
Listen,
we ain't doing
fellas, you gotta listen.
With no secrets. Victoria was a secret. Come on.
I got a proposition. I got a proposition, fellas. You want to start making money? You're familiar with white chicks, right?
Oh, here we go.
Look, man, I got a plan. I know some people.
Here we go.
Well, I'm going to pass it to my boy Vic.
Vic, man, say what's up to the people.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back at it again. Episode. Well, it's the next episode.
It's 38.
He went Ney Dogg. He went Snoop Dogg and Ney Dogg to the next episode.
I knew it. We on 38, by the way. Go ahead.
My boy.
But, you know, speaking of which, I do hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Hope you had a good time with the family. And I'm glad you're with us again. Episode 38. Today we're going to be talking about the pretty much end of the year, a recap of the year, if you will. You know, we're going to talk about what's happened with us in this year and what we look forward to in the next year. And
well, speaking of all that, how was you guys' Christmas?
I was about to lead in exactly right then. How was y'all Christmas, fellas?
Mine was good. You know, me and my house chilled here at the house. watched some Christmas movies, I ordered some Papa John's. She made some wings. Had some Christmas gin. But you know, that's how you celebrate. Other than that, how was your Christmas, Vic?
Grace of God, I'm still here, so it was pretty good.
Amen to that, brother.
So it wasn't bad. It was quite enjoyable. Some things did happen, but put a damper on the mood. But nothing I can't handle.
Hold on, I can't wait to ask the question. So, Cam, how was your Christmas? This is all been waiting on.
So y'all waiting on me?
Yeah.
I didn't even do nothing.
You did something, man.
That's a lie.
My Christmas was always pretty good. But first of all,
I know you made some snacks. Had some
I did make the snowball cake that got devoured. By the way, snowball cake, for people who don't know, it's just basically a coconut pineapple cake with actual fresh pineapples in the middle.
My brother dropping some knowledge right there. He said, "This is how you make it."
With a vanilla cake anyway.
From scratch?
Yeah, you know how a kid gets down. Come on now. Don't disrespect the man's baking skills. I'm alright. I mean, I ain't like some of those other people who I know who could really do a little something on the baking tip.
I like how he put his hand on the heart.
Yeah, I put my hand on my heart. I feel you. But shoot.
Cross my heart, swear to God. You motherfuckers gonna love this pie.
Hey. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right about this case.
You love this guy. You shooting bars today. That was some bars right there, boy. Wow.
But did that,
Wait, I'm sorry. Man, just say, hope to die. Wow, that was funny.
Cam said it.
I didn't say it like that. I didn't borrow it like that.
That's a good telemarketer for Cam. If you ever did the commercial.
Oh my God.
Pie commercial.
Oh my God. You ever see those? God. Okay, so you know those infomercials for like pots and pans?
Yeah.
Whatnot. You ever see those red copper ones?
Yeah.
I can picture we gotta get Cam to do that.
Oh no. Hey,
the whole reason is he's gonna use red copper hardware to make his pie. He'd be like, look at that, don't even stick. That's right. I didn't use no butter, no pan.
They couldn't do that because Cam would be cussing. He'll be mad. He's like, how the hell they gonna have me do this damn survey on the damn thing? This motherfucker don't even stick.
It's like right as it slide out, he gonna be saying, that's smooth. But in all seriousness.
But no, Christmas was cool. Hung out with the fam. Of course, my son came in town. So
did you get cold?
Huh?
Did you get cold?
Did I get cold?
No, cold.
Cold?
Were you naughty?
Oh no, I wasn't.
What are you talking about?
I wasn't naughty.
At first I said, did you get cold? I
got a few different things. Courtesy of the fam and whatnot. I got a lot of good stuff, and but to me, it was never really about the gifts and whatnot. Yeah, I did receive some stuff. Yeah, of course, but it was never really about that. I always want to make sure that my family, my mom, my sister, everybody taken care of. So that's how I got down for Christmas. Didn't get a chance to hang out all night like I normally do, because kid, I could be right back in the box working. But but the fam's doing good. Shout out to my chickadees, of course.
How's your daughter? She good?
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, how have things been for her since she graduated?
Oh no, she's been doing real good. She's still holding down her job, doing well with that. She's just finished her first semester of college, so she's adjusting really well with that. Nice. Like I said, my son, he's in year 4 in the Marines right now, man. So
what's his rank?
I don't know what that boy rank is. I forgot. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I always forget because he's been moving up and stuff. But he's been doing aviation mechanics and stuff, so that's what he's been locking down. He'd already did his stint overseas, so he's back home. Provided nothing crazy pops off overseas, he don't have to go back. So
that's a blessing.
So he'll be at least in the States, so that's a good thing. Even though he'll be in the Midwest, he'll be in the States, but he's been holding things down. It's doing good. My mom's and sister's been cool as well.
That's good. Glad to hear.
But yeah, man, that's really what's been Christmas in a nutshell for me. I didn't get a chance. I was like, dog, I messed up. I'm so mad that I didn't get a chance to go to church because I was asleep. Because I'm just being honest with you. I was asleep, but I was trying to get up, and it was
our schedules.
I was like, dog, man, I was so mad I didn't get a chance to get up and hit church. Because normally when Christmas especially hits on a Sunday, you probably should have pulled up to church.
Poor Cam, man, he was slumped.
I sure was, man. I was asleep. I
think everybody got messed up.
I got an 8:30 and 9. It messed me all up. I was like, dang, I should have
People still have to work too, so schedule wise.
I guess it's better than going to church and falling asleep there.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either
because it's like can't be.
I sure would.
And you can't do that. You can't not in no black church.
No, you could.
If you're tired enough, you'll pass out anywhere.
You could, but I'm gonna tell you what.
And they'd be like, "Can be okay." You go back.
My mom would have popped the. Good God, I was. Get your brother.
Oh, now you got me cussing in this church. I'm a Christian.
Nah, I got smooth hits. Oh no, that's why I was like.
You gonna hit so hard, you go
Brother
right
Deacon, get it around.
No, she wouldn't have did all that. My mom wouldn't get back for it. It would have been a smooth, hit to the back of the head.
2 chops to the throat.
No, she didn't give a chop to the throat. She just would have hit me in the back of the head and kept that moving. And my mom don't even hit people like that. She hit me though.
If you don't get up and say amen right now, I swear.
Nah, you don't do that either. Not in no church. Cause you set up and say the wrong thing at the wrong time. You already know what it is. Especially at a black church.
I used to hate when I used to make you, if you knew at that church, you stand up and introduce yourself. I used to hate that. I get so nervous like that. Running through my mind. I don't know what I'm saying. And you see all these black people just staring at you.
No, it's not that. It's everybody else who try to. It's not the fact of having to do that. It's everybody else who try to do the whole exaggerated version of that. When they say just introduce yourself, it's just the quick, the Eminem thing. Hi, my name is.
What?
My name is. It's that. People.
What I
do. But in church, they do the whole exaggerated.
Hey, first of all, give honor
and glory to God. But
pastors, members, and friends.
Right. That's what they do the whole speech.
This is my name.
I represent this church. I do this. We didn't ask all that. We didn't ask what is your name?
I'm here with sisters, such and such.
What is your name?
We sing in a choir.
Essentially, you ever hear someone introduce themselves, and essentially it's like what they want to say is like.
No, they introduce themselves like they on the Tinder page or something.
No, they say
I'm 5'10".
Glory. And then brother had a 10-piece over there.
And I didn't try to be funny. It's just like
so. If you get hungry, you can slide down. This ain't got nothing to do with church, brother. What are you talking about?
It's like they want to say, "Hi, nice to meet you," but guess what? It's better to meet me.
Right.
And then the testimonials be so ghetto. It ain't even about the Lord Jesus, I got up this morning and I went to Walmart and I got the wrong shoes. And Lord, when I got up to that courtesy desk and I want to return, they gave me all my money back. That ain't no testimony. That's a store policy.
It is. First of all, it is. But to certain people, that is a blessing. That may be the last little bit of money that they get for the week. So
I never forget. I was watching Steve Harvey comedy show. Shout out to Steve Harvey. His old comedy clips, and he said, "This is what I got. A couple of things to say about people at the church. First of all, just because it's the first episode of the testimony, don't necessarily mean you need to talk."
It doesn't mean it's your life. You don't need to put the life story out there. It's like."
He said, if you go to the hospital every day, stop expecting your pastor to come visit you at the hospital every day. He ain't got time to be coming in and checking you.
Now,
you in there 24/7 anyway.
But it's funny because you say that because I always remember it's like when when my group cross coach, when we were hitting visiting churches, they would do the same thing, but we would stand up. But we really wouldn't say anything because we knew that if we're going to do this, we'll do a proper introduction when we hit stage later. But a lot of these other people was like, "Why don't you go through a whole little introduction? Who y'all are?" And I'm like, no, we didn't never really like.
We the Camerettes. We the Camerettes. I'm Big Cam. And this is the Camerettes.
No, it's not.
Got a song. Like, they coming down the pews.
No, we want
in the groove like that. Got that church music going.
You know what's crazy?
Cam over there, hard shaking. Breaking on that.
I can picture.
He getting to collect your plate.
Nah, we
Sisters, don't be cheating.
I can picture Cameron just right before he starts singing. He was like, "Most out to Jesus."
No, we really didn't. No, always, I think about that. I always think about that when we did with cross culture. And I told y'all next year I'm gonna start. Next year I'm gonna bring the squad with us to do a podcast with the cross culture squad, so y'all can hear some of the stories that we did. But we really didn't do a lot of antics. I mean, it's funny because you would think that we would have.
Yeah.
But we really did. I think the only thing that we did that was kind of semi-antique light. I guess the Lord's trying to shine in
Yeah, I'm
right
gonna
now.
say, see, God feelings right now. We talking about y'all ain't gonna.
He leaned in. He's like,
We
be
got
very
you.
careful.
We
what
got
you
y'all. That's what you say. Now I hear you.
It don't take only one
I
bullet.
think
Let
the
it
only,
shine,
I
let
think
it
the only,
shine.
I think the only antics that we did that I know, we used to like throw out like stuffed animals and stuff into the crowd from time to time. But we would do that. No, because we would just want to do something different.
Were they the Polly plushies?
No, they weren't the Polly plushies. I didn't know
Polly
Polly
plushies.
with the plushies at the time. But no, we just like throw some stuff out there at the time. But that was about the extent of it.
In the church.
But yeah, in the church. Because we wanted to do something different for the kids. And we just throw them out there or hand them out or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's good. That's
But
good.
it was, but we wasn't really doing like a bunch of, we didn't really do a lot of antics and stuff. It's funny because a lot of other artists would.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't. But that is pretty funny. But all that
But yeah,
introduction
like,
stuff, no.
and it was funny when you said, like, man, Christmas fell on a Sunday, and I know church is probably packed like crazy on a Sunday too.
Probably.
Especially for
Typically
Christmas.
is.
So you know they probably had like a theme.
The Christmas show and all that stuff. I was like, I was asleep. I did catch a few of them on
I saw that on the Christmas parade.
on like live and stuff. But
What church? What's the name of your church?
Second Baptist.
Where's it at?
That's in Santa Ana. But my mom goes to West Angeles, which is, I mean, not West Angeles. She goes to Faithful Central, excuse me, and that's in LA.
You know what's so funny? Why you said that? Some of the names at the black churches be so hilarious.
I mean, you know,
It be so gangster sometimes.
I mean, I know it sounds like
I'm at the Southside Baptist Church.
but that's literally where they are.
What about you?
You know, I used to go to my grandfather's church. That was the First Baptist Church, and then people I grew up on Elwood, we used to go to Sweet Home Baptist Church right there in LA off of Banderas.
Yep.
And then, you know, I still go to I haven't been there in a while, but I used to go to the chapel over in Downey. As a matter of fact, I just drove by there Christmas Day. They had the Christmas lights on, so that was pretty cool. Other than that, you know, Christmas was good. Like I said, I still stay here, chill with moms. You know, we watch some Christmas movies and stuff like that. And then still want to work that night. So still got to make that money.
So let's go here. I know y'all want to talk about like, you know, setting up for the new year or whatnot. Tell me this. In this past year, what are the good things that happened to you in this past year?
I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you really sure?
I'm positive.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Say it again. Say it again.
Oh, wow.
And don't spill this yak.
Say it again. Hey, fool, your woman freaking with me. I bought them titties. Watch that Jerry Curl juice.
Let me know.
Merry Christmas for bacon. You over there hugging everybody. Got that Jerry Curls juice all over their face.
So glow.
Wow.
Go ahead, Nick.
But in all seriousness, the best thing that happened to me this year was receiving the Lord. That's about it. That's the best thing that's probably ever going to happen to me.
Of course.
It's the best thing that can happen to anybody. Becoming Christian, essentially. I don't mind you, I've only been at this for roughly 2 months now.
Nothing wrong with that.
You know, I mean, that's the best thing that's happened to me.
Of course.
And I can only encourage others to convert, repent, believe, and obey the Lord.
Indeed.
That's the best thing you can do in this life. Believe it or not, it's worth it. It's not exactly easy because sin is everywhere and sin is in us. And it's a constant battle, and you have to constantly check yourself and reflect yourself and realize, you know, it's really not easy. But it is worth it. So that's just probably the best thing I can say. Granted, yeah, I did have other things that you can call good, but compared to that, ain't nothing beat it.
Oh, of course.
You know, but that for me is what really happened.
Indeed.
That is what I would say the best thing that happened this year. Now, the weird thing is I can't even remember what started it. It just kind of happened, which I suppose makes sense because the thing about it is it's in scripture where Christians don't choose to become Christians. God chooses Christians. As in, what I mean by that is you hear the master's call. essentially. God will call you. And if you answer, it's the greatest thing ever. Now, I still have a long, long way to go in the sanctification of my life. But it is nice to know to have salvation. Now, if you don't know what the difference is, when you repent, and when you believe in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, that's salvation. Believers are saved. No ifs, whats, or about it. The rest of your life, you work on sanctification, which is essentially trying to get closer and closer to God, which is essentially trying to become more holy, I guess you can say. Granted, the only holy thing about us is the Spirit that dwells within us, the Holy Spirit. Without that, we're just wretched. It's complicated to talk. It's not complicated. It's hard for me to talk about because it's a lot of information. But I can start with this. We were talking about churches a minute ago, and the church that I would say I'm a part of is called Grace to You Community Church. It's in Panorama City, Sun Valley. And it's a wonderful church, and it's a very straightforward church. If you have time, you can look it up. All of its sermons are online. They have Grace to You on Spotify. I listen to it at work. Only 30 minutes per episode, which is actually pretty short for a podcast. Granted, they break up one sermon into multiple parts, but still, And I'd recommend giving them a listen or checking them out. Whether you're a believer or not, have yet to be converted or repent, I recommend just listening to them. It's very straightforward and broken down very easily. Even a simple man like I can understand what they're talking about. Because it can get complicated when breaking down the Bible. Like, it can get really, really deep into history. And it's shocking. Like I said, I've been at this for about 2 months, barely 2 months now. And I have the rest of my life. So, like I said, that's the best thing that happened to me and probably ever will happen to me. Well,
you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. Trust me. You'll learn a lot as you go down the line. Trust me. You'll get there, I promise you.
Oh, absolutely. Will of the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Be right there with you, brother.
Oh, always. One of the biggest things about becoming Christian is realizing that the Lord was with you before the beginning. Essentially, what I mean by that is He's always been with you, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, acknowledge it or not. He's always there. All you have to do is let Him in. Mm-hmm. Best thing you can ever do. Indeed. I mean that, and I say that. So, I hope this, dear listener, encourage you a little bit to, at the very least, turn to the Lord. Please trust me when I say this. Not only will it save your life, it'll save your soul. It'll be the best and most important decision you'll ever make in this life. Anyway, Paul, what's up?
Well said, brother. Well said. And I have to agree with you on that when you said trust in the Lord, because God is everything. And and I always still Karen's line. It's always God above all, and I like that line too. So, I think the greatest thing for me that happened this year is just focus on more of being mature enough to make good decisions and stuff like that, and concentrate on being a better man, because I am. We all men sitting at this table, grown man wise too. Mm-hmm. And being more aware of my surroundings. I got more better at that.
What do you mean by that?
You want to elaborate?
Meaning is, who can I go to? What can I say and what not to say around certain people?
So you'd say your people skills evolved?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Got better on that. And I think what good thing happened to me, and Cam, I was talking to you about this a couple of weeks ago, or last week when I took that trip to Hollywood. When I was at that, I went to this thing. I met this cool guy who owns a
The
gym.
expedition, right?
Yeah, a good buddy who I just became friends with named Kyle. I forgot it. He has a weird last name, but shout out to Kyle from out there, from his gym out there in Hollywood. Cool place. Subcom, cool place. And then I met these other jiu-jitsu guys. Have a couple black belts, purple belts, stuff like that. But my meaning is, getting back in the groove. Finding my calling on it. Get me, more focused on why did I started this and what's driving me to keep going forward. What's making me chase the next step. So I think for me is, more focusing on setting my goals high, and which I got good at now than before in my past. It's like, now I know what I want. Now I know what I need to achieve to go get it. So now, I'm focusing on, now I need to put the time in the work. So I got good with that. And it's funny, and I ain't embarrassed to say this. I've been smiling a lot every time I'm around you guys because I know I'm doing something really, really good here.
Do it now.
You see? He ain't doing now. But
He with a straight face too.
do it now. You went Dark Vader on me. I know it sounds funny, but it's like when I'm sitting here with my boys at the table doing this, I feel good. I'm loosening up. I'm not saying I can express myself, but when I'm sitting here at the table, I get a lot of thoughts out. And what if it's good or bad? It's always good for me. And another good thing, got a better, good relationship with my mom, which is real good, real important, because we have our ups and downs, but I think, me seeing her laugh and smile a lot, it's gotten a good place in my heart for me, because, we've been through a lot as mother and son. We weren't always good mother and son, but, at the same time, at the end of the day, she's still my mom. I love her dearly to death, so I'm in a good place with that.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to mom. Of course.
I think the good thing for me, another good thing that happened this year for me is when I took that trip to go see my grandmother gravesite, sat there.
That was a few months ago, right?
Yeah, that was back in June or July. Right?
Oh, wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah, but I think that was because I haven't visited her site in a long time. So when I finally went there, I felt more. It was emotional for me. I broke down, but I felt like a lot of clarity came off of me because it was something I was looking for. And when I got there and I sat there and talked with her, and she let me know everything gonna be okay. Things you went through a rough time for a reason. Now it's time for you to get your ass together, get your shit together. Excuse my friends. And every time, I got her right here, every time I look at her, I know when she's looking at me like if I'm doing something wrong, I need to stop it. Or if I'm doing something right, keep it going. So I'm in a good place with that. And just being happy more. So I think, for my sake, it's just, keep smiling, keep making people laugh. But then somebody said I'm good at bringing people together, which, it is true. So other than that, that's all I got. What about you, Cam?
Yeah. What about you?
What's the best thing that happened? I think what we're doing here is one of the better things that's happened, believe it or not. Because what it does, like y'all said, it gives us balance. We can have fun. We can do a lot of different things. We can express things, as a unit together and get it out to all of y'all as the listeners and stuff as well. So that's always been a good thing. Making sure the fam and the kids is cool. That's always been a good thing. That's been working out pretty well throughout this whole year. That's been straight. Mainly just for me, like the best thing that's happened this year is kind of like y'all getting a sense of clarity of the next steps in the direction of what I'm building towards as an individual and what we are building towards as a collective. That makes sense. So for me, that's been like some of the biggest things for me that's been happening, because building all those blocks, some of that stuff goes back into, there's certain things I need to kind of, bring back out. There's certain things I need to drop and do something new, if that makes sense. But all of which being said, all of it is building to something that is bigger. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, we've had a pretty good year. And even coming off of what you call like a couple of COVID years, we've had a pretty good year. And all three of us could definitely attest to that this has been a pretty solid year for us. But this year seems like, from what we've said, it's a stepping stone year. If that makes sense. It's a stepping stone for what's going to be happening for the next year. If that makes sense.
This may sound a little strange, what I'm about to say. Obviously, how we perceive time as the common way everyone perceives time: minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. That's how we perceive time, but it's made up. And what I mean by that is like, people. I don't like it when people are like, next year it's gonna be, it's gonna be a new year. It's gonna be all this and that. Well, technically, it's gonna be a new year, but unless you make it change, then nothing will change. And then you don't have to wait till the new year.
We're going to go there next. I got you.
And not to cut you off, Vic, I wanted to drop something on there. And I'm glad you said that, because I used to do that a lot. Like every year, like, this is going to be me, this is going to be me.
Which goes into what, I got you, Vic, I promise you. I'm going to tie this off real solid. Like, so.
You promise?
Shut up. I love him to death. He's about to get sick.
Promise.
It's straight stop. What are your short-term goals? Let's go here. What are your short-term goals?
Have you been watching the movie Think Like a Man?
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Okay, because I know that line from somewhere.
Hey, nothing to do with that.
Okay.
What are your short-term goals? I'm going somewhere with it.
God, this feels like an advertisement. So let me introduce my 50-step plan.
No, it's not even that. It's the, I ain't telling you to use Zupu. I ain't telling you. I ain't trying to advertise nothing.
You go first, Jake.
What is your short-term goals for your life? What are you trying to do? What are your short-term goals? What's your next steps that you're thinking in your head that I need to do?
Well, the short-term one, I guess also is a /life term, is increase my knowledge on the Lord.
Yep.
Which is pretty much just try grow closer to Him, which is the goal, both short and long term.
Of course.
Obviously, it's going to take the rest of my life, but that's the plan. Other than that, probably just see about acquiring certain things that can advance my everyday life.
Okay.
Stuff about that. I'm not going to get too into it, but see about acquiring that. It's always a money issue.
Okay.
Obviously, taking care of people is not cheap.
Oh.
So, it's like,
You're right about that.
I know. I ain't gonna. We can all test to that.
I don't want to say it's a handicap, even though that's what it is, because that feels mean to refer to somebody as a handicap. Well, to me and what I'm trying to do. They're not. Well, yeah, technically he is a handicap too. But what I mean by that, it's hard to do that when you have. It's not even that I don't make a lot of money. It's just that when all your money goes to one thing, it seems like you don't make a lot of money. And that's not including bills.
So it's a money limitation, got it?
Yeah, but trying to see about just acquiring things,
got it?
Just advancing in a general level. That's the short-term goal. Hopefully to do it before the middle of next year.
Got it?
What about you, Paul?
My short-term goals is an easy one. Achieve my next belt rank in jiu-jitsu, which is brown. Going back into competition. And short-term goal, doing a lot of things I wanted to do that I didn't get a chance to do, like travel more, go to certain places, like go to Vegas again. I haven't been there since 2009, and that was the last time I was there. Was with my uncle.
Would you say next year you're definitely going to see a live opera show?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
I was just going to say that, yeah. Hit the opera. I know it's corny, but I've always wanted to go.
That's what you want to do. It's what you want to do.
See more things.
Okay.
See more great things happen.
Now, when you say that, what do you mean?
See more great things happen. I mean, like, for example, like stepping my game up, you know, whatever I want to do as far as wise. If this is my calling, I want to see more happen with, you know, my two brothers I'm building something with. Seeing people around me achieve their goals, whether it's with you guys or people who I deal with and stuff like that. Not saying, you know, you guys not going to what you guys are, but I'm just, you know, you figure of speech, you know, see everybody, who around me that, you know, I keep close to me, you know, see them achieve their greatness as well too. So that's another short-term goal for myself too. It ain't always just about me. I always like to see people, you know, if I can talk to, or in a situation they said they want something, you know, any advice I possibly give, that's a good short-term goal for me as well too. And taking more matters in my own hands, if that makes sense.
So you want to
you want to make more decisions in your own life.
Yes.
You're saying you want to take the wheel.
Not just much as take the wheel, just make sure that, and me talked about this too, when I'm not around anymore, that goal is already set for the people who I care about.
Okay, so
okay. Pretty solid, pretty sound.
Okay,
very nice.
So
Cameron,
short-term goal.
Hold on, you had a question for me, or was that?
I'm gonna get to it in a second. I got you. Short-term goals for me. Make sure we grow the podcast first and foremost. You know, work on that. You know, growth in that regard. Get more physically active, even though I've been doing that. But just
I think the problem is you're too overreactive.
But I know people.
He still got that. You know, he still got, you know.
As much
he can slip to the left, and then he can slip to the right, and then, you know.
As much
he knocked down Frazier.
You don't want none of this, young blood.
Yeah, as much as y'all.
Don't say that. Don't do my boy like that. He not that old.
Nope.
Because if he goes like this and start doing this, he go, Iris, that's a crack.
I don't. You know, I still square up like a test. Square up with my.
You still got that one-handed
kickboxing. Hey, I got my kickboxing skills. Don't get it messed up.
Keep it going, brother.
Get more physically active. I know that people think that. Well, y'all see me like, dog. Well, how much more can he do? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But more physically, and there is a method to that madness. Connect with more people to either help them or figure out their impact in, you know, like, with me, if that makes sense.
So when you mean by help, like, what do you mean,
like literally help them? Because there's a lot of people who's in my camp currently.
Okay.
That I know my responsibility to, not necessarily my responsibility, I know what my role is with them, is to help them. I know what my role is. Some of the people's roles is to do something to impact me.
So basically be more motivating to the people.
Right. And some of them is to impact me. And I know that too. Because there's certain people there's people in your life who are, everybody in your life, they're there for a reason, and they're there for a specific. And part of that short-term goal is to figure out what are those specifics, if that makes sense. Why is this person in my life at this point in time? Why is this person in my life at this point in time? You know, is it something that's supposed to be long-term? Is it something that's supposed to be short-term? Is it something that's supposed to be, I need to help them real fast and get them out of the way? You know, is it other times where I need them to build something else in my life? You know, some people I know we're going to need for the podcast. Some people I know I'm going to need from a personal standpoint. You know, there's certain people I know who I need to help the kids out, if that makes sense. I know that there's certain people that's there. It's not just the circle that's been doing it. I know there's other pieces that I need to make this happen. my short-term goal is to figure out what reason and why. If that makes sense.
So
now, I say that to say this. How are you going about achieving those goals that you have set?
For me?
Oh,
well, as far as why my next bell ring is just keep showing up. It's not who's good as who's left. It's more, like my coach said, it's all the time. You show up on the mat and you put in the work. So for me, just keep showing up, keep putting in the work.
okay.
So
What about the other stuff?
For other stuff, and that it just.
You don't gotta get too deep.
I mean, it's not from. It's a struggle. The only thing I have to do more is just keep voicing my opinions on a lot of things too. If that makes sense. Speak up more instead of keeping shut out more. If I'm saying if I'm gonna help somebody, actually help somebody. Don't ignore that person. You know what I mean? So
I say this. So if you say that you're trying to help somebody, you don't have to throw a name out there.
No.
But do you know who that person is?
No.
Okay.
Them just using it as a person like.
I get it. And the reason why I say that because sometimes when you say, "Oh, I know I need to help somebody," sometimes you already know who that person is. And you know you're supposed to help that person. And sometimes that calling is, I know I'm supposed to help them. I don't know how, and I may not know why, but you know kind of the who.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And like I said before, for me it's just, once achieving I already know what I have to do to achieve my next girlfriend. Just keep showing up and keep training and keep, asking questions on that. And the other thing is just go out and do it. Like, just go do it.
Got it.
And then, like I said, we doing it.
No, I know the podcast. We're doing our thing there. I'm not, but I'm going somewhere with this.
Yes, I know.
Vic.
Because I'm waiting on you to ask the other one after the short.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get to because short term and long term is kind of the one and the same, believe it or not. But what are you doing to achieve your goals? I know you said study more in the Word. I got that part.
Well, just to recap on that, obviously read. Well, read the good word, the best word ever written. Essentially, read that, study that, meditate on it. More importantly, but the other stuff. What I was talking about after that. Well, what am I gonna do?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
This man had a serious moment.
I can't help it because
I know
when Victor gets in the character and that his deep voice, I swear to God, this is why I love Victor because I swear to man.
That's why we work. This is why we work.
I'm sorry, brother. Because when he get in that mode.
Don't you worry about it.
Leave him alone. I'm gonna leave him alone.
Stop looking at me. When he makes me look, I can't help it. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
You'll be sorry when these cameras turn on.
I'm gonna leave him alone.
Oh, man.
As soon as we stop recording, you ain't gonna make it to the door.
So you said more reading.
Yes, but the other stuff is linked to what we're doing. If this is truly meant to be, if it is the will of the Lord that we be successful in our venture with this, it'll pretty much solve it. So
I agree.
That's what really this ties into that.
Yep. I agree.
How am I working on it? Well, being here with you. That's how I'm working on it. I mean, we all know how things are going at the job. I mean, we can kind of see the direction they're taking. So by the time it goes to its obvious conclusion, we'll be long gone.
Yep.
Will of the Lord, hopefully.
Of course.
In Jesus' name, we say amen.
Yes, indeed. But what about you, Cameron? What have you been doing?
I've just been, first of all, mentally preparing for what's ahead, first and foremost. Yes, that requires a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of biblical studying, a lot of like listening and talking to a lot of people. Because a lot of people may throw you a lot of different nuggets at any point in time, and paying attention to what those nuggets are.
You better got sauce.
Of course, barbecue sauce. Keep it gangster.
Sweet Baby Ray's.
That's good.
You touched the nerve right there on that one.
I got to consider that one. But you know, a lot of people give you a lot of different things, and for me, it's like part of it is to receive it and to understand it, and the other flip of it is to be able to teach it back out.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because I know a lot of the stuff that I have, I know I need to teach out, but there's other things that I need to for people to teach it to me. If that makes sense, because there's certain things that I may know it, but I may need to get it from a different perspective so I can understand that it may not necessarily have to be just one way.
So all you're saying is you're teaching to learn and learning to teach?
More or less. Because for me to execute, you know, what we need as far as like the podcast, what others need, certain things I need to still learn. And even though I know a lot, but I can't go with the assumption that I know everything. I need to go to the assumption that I need to learn more.
And not to cut you off, brother, and it's funny you said that because I was talking about my mom just not too long ago, and I was like, I can see Cam teaching it, and it's not even a joke, you teaching a good seminar, like holding a seminar.
I know a lot of people have said that. A lot of people say.
Because I got into a conversation with my mom. We was talking about you, and I was like, because even on a good day, bad day, Cam know how to make it happen, or try. So when you say, you know, be more teachable, mom, and then I'm like, I can see you running the seminar, just teaching more, know your knowledge, and even with the ones indeed, and even if they deserve it or not, you still be able to teach and get your opinion, your words out.
But part of it is for me, it's I know. But part of it is learning. You know, I have to be able to, you know, learn stuff. And the reason why that's important for me is because, yeah, like I told you, I know a lot. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to sugarcoat.
And you know what? And I'm glad you see right there. I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you say that. You do.
I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm not dumb enough to know that I'm not one of those ones to be like, I know everything, and I'm not.
But see, and then right there, what you just said, I'm glad you said that because you weren't entitled to your opinion. You said, I do know a lot.
I know, I do know a lot, and I tell people all the time. But I'm not saying that from and people think that that's a position of brag or a position. I'm like, no, it's
but see, not. Right there, why is that? Why people think like that?
Because when people see that a person is smart or they're educated or they talk from a certain perspective. They either want that, they either want what you have,
okay, I can see
or
that.
They envy it because like there's no way I could get to that, or they think that well he really don't know what he talked about. They try to downplay it because they can't rationalize.
They can't. They don't know
because
vocabulary.
It doesn't always work for them. And I tell people, just because I know it and I'm smart in certain things, that doesn't mean that I'm a perfect person.
It's an
ego thing. And they wait for, and what they do, they wait for the downfall because they want to say that he ain't as smart as he did because this doesn't work. There's a lot of things I failed at, but I tell people in the failure is where I learned the most. Failing a marriage is how I learned about relationships. I'm just being honest with you.
That's a fact right there. That's a fact.
Executing with a lot of different things allowed me to be better and to be able to teach it.
I'm sorry, I just picture Cameron's like, yeah, I fail a lot. I fail at failing.
I just like, dude, I tell people, it's like, look, I am not a perfect person. Just because I've done a lot, I've seen a lot and experienced a lot, and I know a lot, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect. That's why I said a lot of it is the constant learning cycle. If that makes sense, I still have to learn a lot of different things so I can be able to present it to other people the right way. Yeah. You know, one of the things that I have to get into is more of the get back into what I known of the risk reward. I know for me personally, I've been playing a lot of things extremely safe, if that makes sense.
Do you feel like it's a hindrance or the right thing to do?
That depends on who you ask.
I'm asking you.
But for me, I think it's a hindrance because
I like how you did that.
No, but for me, I mean, but certain people be like,
yeah.
Look, playing it safe is the right thing to do because it playing it safe kept me out of a lot of trouble. It kept me out of harm's way in a lot of different things. Absolutely correct. But also playing it safe has not allowed me to grow enough to expand where I want to be. And sometimes you have to be, like I told you, you have to be willing to take chances. And sometimes you got to be able to take bigger chances and bigger swings, even if the fail rate is going to be a little bit higher. Now, you don't take reckless and stupid chances, obviously, but you got to be able to take certain chances to either understand that here's why I needed to fail at this so I could be successful the next go round. Or I needed to take this chance because if I don't step out on faith and take a chance, then I'm not willing to go through the door to get the blessing that's right behind this door. But the only way you can get to that blessing is you got to be able to take the chance and go through the door. You can't see behind the door. But sometimes you got to be able to take the chance and be like, am I willing to risk it to see what's behind the door, to see if this is the step? And maybe that behind the door may not be the right first step, but it may lead to a second step through another door that I'm supposed to be through that is the blessing. That's the risk reward. That is something that's very biblical, by the way. Because in that, you have to be able to walk, risk reward is a lot about faith. That's what people don't understand. People kind of say, well, I take a risk in this, take a risk in that. All you're saying to me is you have faith in something that you don't know is going to be successful or not. So you got to step out on faith and say, I'm going to take a chance and do it. And I don't care if you're doing that in regards to money. I don't care if you're doing that in regards to relationship or any business adventure or whatever it may be. You got to be able to step on faith. And sometimes you got to be able to take risks. And sometimes those risks you have to take greater chances. Even if you think that you're going to fail, part of that is calculate the risk, take the chance, and then for what you think you know, for all the stuff that you don't know, that's where you're going to have to trust God into pulling you through. If that makes, and hopefully that makes a lot of sense.
Well said on that.
Hopefully that makes a lot of sense.
Well said.
Yes.
Well said.
Because for me, I know I've been playing it safe. And like I said, I've been playing it safe when it comes to relationship, money, whatever. I can't play it safe. Because to want greater, you got to be able to risk it.
So when you said by, playing it safe wise, force wise, so I'm gonna compare the two together. Have you compared your relationship with money and relationship, if that makes sense, together when you played it safe, or you just?
Well, yeah, I've been playing it safe in both. I tell you right now, I played it safe in both.
Both, okay.
But that's a very good question. I played it safe in both, and with that, playing it safe, like I said, keeps you out of trouble. With money, that doesn't mean I was making a lot of money. That doesn't mean I was losing a lot of money. I've been playing it relatively safe.
So basically, you knew how to budget on that.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing to understand what it's like to stay within a budget and stuff. But sometimes when I say about playing it safe when in regards to money, it's like, look, just because I'm playing it safe, that doesn't mean that I didn't invest none of that money, so that money's not working for me. Does that make sense? So I make money, but I'm not putting it into no stocks or no bonds or anything like that right now.
You ain't buying no crypto.
I'm not, I'm just not. It doesn't have to necessarily be crypto or anything per se, but I'm not taking a chance to allow that money to work for me.
Yeah.
So if I was to say, like, look, put together $100, let's invest this money. Yeah, I could lose that $100 within a day. But that $100 could make me $5 within a day. But I have to be willing to risk that said $100. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But if I'm not willing to take a chance and take a faith chance of, let me have faith that this money is going to be good here, then that money's just sitting. It's there, but it's not really working for me the way that it should.
Yes. You gotta be willing to bleed.
It's the same thing. So, church concept. One of the things they always tell you is that you got to give 10% tithes to the church, right? Biblical principle. But you invest that Nothing.
What's her name?
Yeah, because came in unknown. We already know what it is. Trying to hide the ladies.
You know, the bill collectors. We'll go ahead.
Again, he puts on the guys with a bill collector, but said we got a name. I ain't name dropping, but we got a name for you.
What kind of bill collector calls 3 times in the same day?
The one who want that.
You want that money?
Yeah.
let me get here. So in the church age, you got to give 10%, right? Mm-hmm. But you're giving that as a tithe to go to the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. Aren't you putting a bit of faith that money is going to be worked in the right way?
Oh yeah, you give it to the church to support the church.
Right.
That's the whole point.
But that's the whole thing. You're giving it to them in faith. Not just in faith that the church is doing the right thing. You're giving it in faith that, like the Lord said, the Lord's going to bless this 1-fold, 5-fold, 10-fold, however way you see fit. Not say that you may not necessarily get that from a monetary thing back to you, but biblically it says, give unto me and I'll give it back to you. Press down, you get that. Very, very biblical, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people are not willing to give up that 10%.
Because it's hard, though.
I'm not, but that's the point I'm getting to.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm getting to. People think that, 10% is hard. Absolutely correct. But if you know that there's a blessing on the other side, and there's a chance that you could get something greater for that little bit of money that you invested, that you could get something greater, why wouldn't you? Makes sense.
Yeah. No. It's kicking in, and
I know.
I totally agree with you on that.
I know. I'm trying to get y'all to understand.
But because sometimes like you said, it's greater good. The reward comes greater good at the end. But sometimes people don't like to take that risk.
Because people don't want to take that risk because again, it's a risk. It's a risk to their lifestyle. To understand that, the risk is that, dude, if I lose 10% of my check, to certain people that may be like $30, $40. To other people, 10% of your check may be a couple of $100. That's $200, $300 maybe. Mm-hmm. And I know that people think that, well, that's a little bit of money. No, that's not a little bit of money. If your lifestyle, you need that extra $200, $300 to pay for a bill or something. Mm-hmm. But you gotta be able to risk it. I'm gonna tell you right now, same concept. You would risk it on a date, wouldn't you? If the girl came around, ooh, I'm going on a date, you're gonna spend about 10% of your check on that date one.
I'm gonna be quiet on that because
you know what I'm saying is right because you already know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what it is. I'm gonna keep it a straight stat.
I got no resemblance for that one.
And you're taking that same risk on somebody who could potentially be somebody who's cool for you, or could potentially be trash, right? Mm-hmm. But you're still taking a risk, right?
You're still taking a risk.
I think the biggest thing.
But you gotta be willing to take the risk. Is what I'm trying to get you to understand.
No, I feel you, brother.
It's been safe decision, which, like I said, it's been cool. It's been allowing us to build our podcast. It's been allowing me to stay, like I said, out of trouble. It's been allowing me to play it safe when I'm at work. Mm-hmm. But there's been no risk involved. Because it's been like, well, if I do this, I get in trouble. If I do this, this happens. If I do this, this happens. So I've been like, well, let me just play it safe. Not playing it safe doesn't always pan out because what you're really saying is
You stagnate.
No, what you're saying is that I don't have enough faith
to walk that line. To see what's on the other side. To take the risk.
Sometimes you gotta be willing to lose something in order to gain something bigger. And sometimes you gotta drop some things. You may think that, well, dog, why are you dropping this? Because I know there's something bigger that I have to get to and I need to drop it. And I'm not saying this in regards to the podcast per se, but there's certain things that you need to drop in order to get bigger.
Yeah, well, essentially you put it this way. The road to heaven is narrow. What do I mean by that? You can't take everything you have with you. It's a narrow road, which means it's small, which means you have to be willing to drop everything you can take with you. You know, what does that mean? Depends on the person.
Right.
But what I'm saying is I'm agreeing with what you're saying, Cameron. You take only what you need, and you walk by faith. And the blessing you receive on the other side is greater than anything you can imagine.
Right.
Granted, I'm leaning a little more biblical when I say this, but I am in agreement with you. You know, you must walk by faith. And if you walk by faith, the only thing that pleases God is faith.
Right, because that's, believe it or not, it's exactly right, because that's the risk. Because you got to be willing to take that chance. If you're going to be strong in God, what you got to do? Have faith in God. Well, so what does that mean? You're taking a chance on something that is not necessarily tangible that you could hold, like a phone or something. And it's not something that you can necessarily see, but it's something that's always present around you. You always see the workings at any point in time. That's the faith.
See, the sad thing is, for a lot of people,
and I know people ain't gonna get that. This is gonna topple over a lot of people's heads right now.
So the problem with this for a lot of people is we are people who, humanity in general, when I say this, has a very thing. You've heard the phrase "seeing is believing," right?
Right.
If they don't see it, right? If they don't see how it's going to turn out, they're not going to do it. These are people who have very little, possibly no faith. I'm not even talking about them being a believer. I'm talking about just faith in general.
Right.
You know, but that's why it's so important, because you don't see it, but you still believe it.
But I'll tell you this. Think about your top end people who's been super successful. They didn't have it tangibly in their hands when they first started. They had to really visualize the concept, take a chance, and then kind of see that vision to fruition. You think we were talking about electric cars 15 years ago? No, we weren't. You think we were talking about social media the way that it is now 15 years ago? No, we weren't. You think we were talking about gaming like it was 20 years ago? Yes, but we didn't think it would be like this.
No.
Because I can tell you right now, we were talking about gaming being big, but not to this extent. We weren't talking about that.
It was never, no one.
It was always meant to be second. It was, when people saw it, they thought of it as a very minor form of entertainment.
If you told people in the 90s that video games would be making more money and be far more popular than TV and movies
combined,
they would laugh at you.
I'll tell you one better. When I went to college and I told my mom I'm going to school to make music for video games, the first thing she said was, "Huh."
Are you paying for it?
I was on scholarship, but it wasn't even that. It was the, huh, what, why? This is 93. This is 93, by the way. And this is when gaming was just starting to take off.
93. This is 93.
Exactly. So when I'm doing it early, when I'm talking about these concepts early, my mom didn't know that it was going to be like this, the way that it is right now, where we're buying $500 consoles and games for $70 a pop, and people in the gaming industry, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Nobody saw this. The people in the industry now didn't see it. They had a vision of, oh, we could potentially get it here, but you had to have a lot of faith and a lot of vision to get there. But guess what they did? They took an awful lot of chances. You know what happened in 91, 92, 93? Here's a gaming concept. Here's the risk that they took. We put Mortal Kombat out with blood on it. Government tried to fight it off. They couldn't, because Midway took a chance of doing something that was super risky, and it paid off for them. Why is that important now? Because it paved the way for all the games that you see now that has it. They took a chance and I'm just using it in a practical point of view, just so y'all can understand that. Musically, the same thing. NWA, straight out of Compton. We're going to cuss to get our point across, because rappers want cussing in their albums.
Yeah.
And I hate this. I'm just using it so people don't understand that it's not just in biblical terms. This is things that's been done in very practical things now that people take much for granted now, that people took a lot of steps and risk in early on. But I go there to get to what we're talking about in New Year's. We talked about goal settings and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody at the top of the year, what do they say? I'm going to do what?
Lose weight.
Yeah, no, but what do they say? Lose weight, all this stuff. What do they say? They make it as a resolution. What's the difference between a resolution and a goal?
Timing.
Timing is absolutely correct.
I can't give you an answer on that.
No, he said it exactly right. Exactly. It's literally the time in which you say it. So why is it that people always want to wait to the top of the year to talk about what they're going to do?
Because they feel like that day is going to be a good day.
So
they always feel like the new beginning, the new time and new goal sets on when it hits that first day. So
let me ask this. So in March 15th, 2022, was your goal the same?
No.
What's different? Were you still trying to work out?
No.
What were you doing differently then that you're not doing now?
Wait, say that one more time.
What were you doing differently then that's not necessarily happening now? Would you say that you wasn't thinking about it at the time? I'm going to be dead honest with you. I beg to differ. You were thinking about doing this because you were still in the gym. You still were trying to get your money up. We were doing the podcast. What's the difference between March 15th and now? I'm not putting you on the spot.
That's a heavy thought.
I'm using this as an example because I want you to understand how
What's
people
the difference
think.
between March 15th and now? I'm still at this table.
Yeah, you are. You're still working. You're still working. You're still grinding. But did the goal and the objective change?
I can't even give you a straight answer on that.
I'll say it for you. No. I'll say it for you. I know you don't want to say it. Yeah. I'm gonna say it for you. The answer to that question is no. And the reason why I say that is because people are so quick to do this whole New Year resolution. I'm going to go to the gym and work out. So Choose Fitness, Planet Fitness, all these people is making a whole bunch of money on people trying to get their life together. Here's what happens in the first 2 months of that. You'll be in the gym. You'll see, you'll see a lot of people in the gym. Mm-hmm. You know the best. If you a single dude and you trying to find somebody, you know the best time to be in the gym between January 1st and February 5th and February 12th. Why do I say that?
I know why you said that. Then I don't want to say it.
Why do I say that?
I know why.
Because there's gonna be a lot of single people up in there, right? And then what's gonna happen?
Yeah, that's around.
They're gonna link up and find somebody around the end of January. And they're gonna lead into Valentine's.
That's why I didn't say it.
Right.
I thought you was going with this.
But here's what's going to here's what I'm leading to. So you laughing. Here's what it's leading to.
No, because I knew it's going with this.
So they're gonna do all that. But what happens after February 14th? Y'all still at the gym?
No.
Y'all still working? What y'all doing?
A different kind of work.
Y'all still doing some physical action, but y'all getting freaky deaky, right? Mm-hmm. But y'all ain't in the gym.
You need some work good.
No, you're not good because that wasn't what you set out when you first started.
Yeah.
That is not what you said when you first started, right? I'm not trying to do this.
No, I know. But when you said from that time, I already knew where you was going with this. That's why I was so. But I understand what you said.
So why did I tell you March 15th? Because your goal didn't change.
Yeah.
You didn't change. You're still looking for the same things. So you don't have to start those goals on the first. Mm-hmm. You started, when that vision started hitting your head, you got to be putting these things in motion. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. It doesn't have to be on the first. The first doesn't have to mark a beginning of anything. That is just a calendar date for us to understand that we're going into 2023. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just completely human conception.
Yeah, it's just a conception. But working on your goals that could start as soon as that vision hits. But now you got to understand how to get all that stuff to piece together. Because everybody can have the goals. The second part of that goal is, what are the steps that's going to take to get me there? Because everybody can set a goal and be like, well, here's the only step that I know. I'm going to go to the gym. The step is, I need to work out, I need to drop some weight. The step is, I'm going to go to the gym. There's only one aspect of it. What about your eating habits? We did talk about this off camera. Mm-hmm. What about you trying to, change certain things in your lifestyle that's, detrimental?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things, you got to put steps, linking yourself up with the right people to help me push to do the stuff in the gym. That's where people trying to get wrong. They only get one step and they think that one step is going to help them when you really need 4 or 5.
That's true.
You need a team around you to help push you.
And that goes back on what we was talking about one of the other episodes was getting better, opening up more, speaking to people. Like
yes.
One certain thing. You don't think certain people who got success didn't have the help they needed to get to that success? No. Sometimes they didn't do it by themselves. Sometimes they had to have the right people.
Push. And you're going to get pushed. And sometimes that push is not going to come from the people you think it's going to come from. Sometimes that push is going to come from somebody who is completely outside of your circle. Who's going to come into your circle and be the one to help you push.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you there.
And that's what
because you guys are in my circle.
Right. And certain ones are going to come from certain ones are going to come within your circle, and certain ones are going to come from outside of that and push you.
Yeah.
And help you get there. And you never know what that's going to amount to. But I'm trying to get y'all to understand is that it doesn't necessarily have to start on the first. It can start as soon as that vision hits you. What am I need to do to piece together to get this done? That's where it comes into play. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. That's what I'm trying to get the viewers to understand. Yeah, it's a new year. Mm-hmm. Great.
But still the same.
But if you're going into this with the same mindset, and a lot of people still have the same mindset, then what are you really doing? The new year's just a new year for you. You're still going to be the one who's going to try something and fail. Why? Because you're not piecing together the things that's going to do to make you successful, or you're not taking enough chances in order to get there. Ooh, I want to go to the gym, but I'm so afraid of what I'm going to look like in comparison to the other people that's in the gym. No. I'm just telling you that these are real conversation pieces. I know what that's like, and that has nothing to do with, people like, well, you're fat shaming. No, that has nothing to do with fat shaming. There's people who are skinny who think the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That I don't look a certain way in comparison to the other people that's in there. But what are you going to do to push through it? You still got to, again, this is where talking to the right people, assembling the right people, making your goals, setting, the things that you want in motion to make sure that it happens. A vision is only a vision, but it doesn't come to fruition unless the vision is crafted. Word to King Los, he said that.
I was just going to say that.
King Los said that, and it made perfectly good sense.
Because I was like, I heard that line.
It never comes to fruition unless the vision is crafted. Right. The vision's there, but you got to craft it.
You gotta send me that.
You got to craft that. Yeah. You got to craft that vision. It makes perfectly good sense.
That's powerful. That's a powerful line right there.
And he led in that with a rap freestyle, by the way. It never comes to fruition unless the vision is crafted. Meaning that it will never get there unless you work on it. You can set your goals. What do you do to work on it? That vision, if you have it today, you should start on that today. If that means that I need to get my money up, what should you be doing? Figuring out how to get my money up. Part of that is, you do extra stuff to get your money up. That's why part of the reason why we do what we do. That's why we need y'all to hit the like and subscribe button, by the way, since y'all didn't do that just yet. I know y'all didn't. But y'all hit like and subscribe, that helps us in the algorithm,
We appreciate it.
And believe it or not, we don't just do this just for the money. We actually do this to give out information like this. I'll be dead honest with you. Create the vision. Understand what that vision looks like. That doesn't have to start New Year's Day. Start it early. Mm-hmm. and lock in and do whatever it takes to make sure you obtain your goal. If the goal for us is to get this many subscribers and get to this point of view, we need to make the steps necessary to get there. Mm-hmm. If the job is to I want to try to get into a fulfilling relationship, you need to put steps in play in order to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
I'm just being honest with you.
No.
If your job is to try to get out of your house, out of your parents' house, you need to put steps in play to make that happen. If your job is to make this amount of money, you need to put steps. Vision, goal, one thing. Steps. It's the secondary part and the more important part.
I say you want to try your dream car, you gotta, like you say, you gotta put the steps.
You gotta understand, if you have that goal of a dream car. I know people, and I talked about this before, people like vision boards of what they. You don't have to put a vision board. What you really need to do, type it, write it, and start executing. Grow within your life. Get around people who's going to help you get there. That's what we're getting to. New Year's should not just be I'm starting off brand new. You're still the same dude. Mm-hmm. You're still the same dude. You're still the same female. You're still the same whatever you are. Shout out to the people in the LB. All y'all. You're still that dude.
Nick, you got a thought on that?
No, he nailed it.
Anyway,
pretty much covered it.
Science.
Although, I guess the one thing I can say is never say the words, I'll do it tomorrow. Because if you say that, tomorrow will never come. Because you'll keep pushing it to tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Amen.
Execute the plan. And there's certain things, and I tell y'all, there's certain things I'm quietly working on, that I'm executing. I'll let y'all get into it more and more, but I just know for me, it's more of I can't play it safe. Oh yeah, I got some stuff cooking, man. And I know y'all want to see the chocolate cake too and all that stuff. Yeah, family, we got y'all too. Don't worry. The cooking.
Plotting against us.
Huh?
You don't need to hear it.
Here we go. So some other things we're gonna get into.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead, brother. That was a good Victor.
Do some side note stuff because we didn't get a chance to do this in a while. What y'all been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing?
Or watching. Or listening to.
Really haven't been playing anything. I've been back and forth between work and holidays, so I haven't had a chance to sit down. But I did play a little bit of Air Combat 90.
Oh, so like Ace Combat?
Ace Combat, yeah.
Okay.
I played a little bit of that. I told you I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Shout outs to them. Like, if you ain't got the Game Pass, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like my buddy Victor said.
Microsoft goodies coming too.
Microsoft were available.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Play a little bit of that. What I've been watching, watching reruns on Peacock because they be had my favorite show.
90210.
No,
that's my show.
I was watching everybody. I had to go back and jump back and watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
You know what? I never got into that. I'm gonna be dead honest with you. I heard it was good. I just never got into it.
I'm familiar with Everybody Hates Chris.
And then I was watching a little bit of The Family Matters because they showing it on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. Watched a little bit of that. Finally watched on Bullet Train. They had it on Netflix.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I thought it was funny. I felt like it could have had more jokes in it.
Okay.
Who's your favorite?
Brad Pitt was hilarious.
I heard
just seeing him with his long hair.
Yeah, I heard he got down. That was that on? It
was on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah.
I couldn't stop laughing because they had Bad Bunny on there, and then he did this one. It was his one scene that just had me dying laughing. But it was real good. Watch that. Other than that, that's all I've been doing.
Okay. Vic, what you been you got sleepy head right now? What you been playing?
He said it was night.
I know, I'm about to get him out of here in a minute.
I'm gonna knock the hell out. But what have I been playing? Oh, you're familiar with the series Metro? Mm-hmm. I bought the Metro trilogy for like $11. It was on sale. Yeah, Metro 2023 the free, then Metro Last Light, and then Metro Exodus for $11. That's a great deal. So I've been playing the Metro games. Really fun games, you know. I do miss the age of video games when they were only 7 gigabytes big. You know,
as opposed to 100 or something like Call of Duty is.
As opposed to like 120 gigabytes. I mean, it just makes me. I'm not a huge person on graphics. You know, as long as the graphics don't look like something on the Nintendo 64, no disrespect, but some of those games are very hard to look at.
They still do 16-bit, 32-bit games. They still get paid a lot of money.
You know, what I'm saying is imagine the amount of content, right? So take a game with like the graphics of Metro Last Light, which I still think looks fine. It's certainly dated. I'm not going to say it isn't,
right?
But it still looks fine. But it has the space of 120 gigabytes. You know how much content you can fit on there? You know, the amount of content you can fit on a game like that.
I think it goes into my thing about gaming right now. I just think we're in a weird spot.
Who is she?
No, we already know what it is. We up here giggling.
I'm laughing what y'all said. And I'm just thinking my message.
Put your phone on the table.
I put my phone on the table.
You already know what it is.
This is family time.
First of all, he's in here with the old parent.
I know this.
Phone on the table, turn it off. Don't pick it up until after you eat. But you're not wrong. But I think the problem is, and
you don't behave, you ain't getting no chocolate cake.
That's a
we're gonna
fact.
get some chocolate cake. I don't care about that. But go ahead, Cam.
But like I'm saying, like just think of the amount of content you'd be able to fit on a game with like, because the reason these games are so big is because of the graphics.
True.
They take up so much space. It's ridiculous.
But this is where it becomes tricky because you want the graphics, but then you want content too. And
then people are like, "Wow, this game looks amazing," but there's such little content. Yeah, because it's all taken up by the graphics.
That's correct. And that's like, how big do you want these games to be? So when you get to a game like Starfield, if and when they get this game out, which they will, but you know, if they get it out this year, I would be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, you already know that it's going to fall on its face flat.
It has to.
It's going to fall on its face
because it has too much. It has too many things to fail at.
Don't make it. I don't want it to fail.
No,
but we know it's going to happen.
I know this has 2077 written all over this game.
Which, but
meaning that it's going to be terrible on the start, but by the time they get to it, it's going to be fire.
By the time like the first DLC comes out, it'll be pretty good.
I mean, and I always say that because I bought 2077. That's the last game I bought day one, and I never buy games day one.
No, nowadays it's not worth it.
Now, because I already know how they make the games. I already know like when they get to day one, it's basically like being in a modified beta.
Yeah.
And that game really doesn't get cooking until a year later.
Yeah.
And if Starfield is anything like this, and I understand it's like, do you want the graphics and stuff? But you gotta give me
I'll give Starfield this.
Story.
At least it's gonna be on the Game Pass.
Yeah, which I mean that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna give it a run just on the strength it's on the Game Pass, but I already know it's gonna be 130 gigs worth of information, of a lot of space, of a bland story because I want to play a good story. I'm an RPG dude.
Man, Cam, it's gonna be a big game, man. Do you know how big space is? That's a lot of space you need.
I know, but see, this is what I'm saying. It better be the one.
But we both know it's gonna be booty cheeks, bro.
I know. It's at least off top. It's gonna be booty cheek. It's gonna be just with CD product. We know this. It's gonna be cheeks. We know it.
It's gonna be cheeks that haven't been wiped. It ain't gonna be good. It ain't gonna smell good.
Don't do that. Oh man.
Talk it out.
Okay, watch.
But it goes. But like I said, it goes into what it goes. Talk it out.
Don't do that. Oh man.
But it goes into what I've been playing. I've been playing like Persona 5 Royal, older game, been out for like 2.5 years on Game Pass. Of course, I wanted to give it some run because it was on Switch first. Same thing, good game, but it took forever to get it to fruition to make it a good game. And even then, I still feel like it's omitting some stuff out of there where it could have been done better. But I feel like you. At least at this point in time, I would take a little bit less on graphics to have very good concepts of story.
It's just,
But I think that's just the RPG player in me at this point.
the problem is with that, though, is we know it's not going to happen.
Oh,
Because,
no.
like, look at Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah, it looks amazing. Technologically speaking, it's a marvel.
Right.
But it's going to take up so much space.
No.
Imagine trying to make a video game like the size of Skyrim, but it looks like with the graphic fidelity of Unreal Engine 5. A game like that would be so stupidly massive, it'd be the only game on your hard drive.
Right. But see, and that's the problem that I have because, when you have, Skyrim, great game, great story, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think as gaming, we have not evolved. We've gotten away from it. We just want the dumb shooters. What I mean by dumb shooters is it doesn't have to have a story. It doesn't have anything. Just let me just shoot some stuff. Call of Duty in a nutshell. Why do you think everybody's battling over Call of Duty? Because that's what gamers want. Gamers want Call of Duty and games like it.
I mean, if it's not Call of Duty, it's Madden. And if it's not Madden, it's 2K.
Madden don't even get that much run.
But right now, like you said, right now it's Call of Duty.
Yes, it's Call of Duty and Grand Theft
Auto.
It's really, it's Grand. Well, I'm gonna say it's 3 games. 5. I always say it's always been these 5. League of Legends, because they always get a lot of run. People don't talk about it, but for PC, they get players is up the button. I don't understand why the game's like 12 years old and it's the same game still gets run. League of Legends, Call of Duty, FIFA, Grand Theft Auto.
I forgot about FIFA. Yeah, you're right.
People play overseas. FIFA's that game overseas. Don't get it wrong. FIFA.
Oh, FIFA in Europe? Oh,
yeah, FIFA overseas is like, it dwarfs Madden.
Like the UK alone.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto. That's pretty much it. And pick any one Nintendo game and you
Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is one, but any one of which will constitute your 5.
Yeah.
But besides that, there's some other stuff I want to get into, but I will digress those until a later point in time because I definitely want to get into the later. We're not gonna do it on this episode, but we will dive into it. The difference, like how an artist by the name of Jaguar Wright, she went on a podcast, talked about how Jay-Z is like R. Kelly. Oh yeah, it's good, but we'll get to that. We'll get into that in the next episode. Yeah, I know. We'll get to that in the next episode. Some we gotta like discuss off cam before we get into it on cam. We'll discuss that. The one thing about this past year is that we had a lot of people pass away, like a lot of stars, a lot of people. I mean, it's one thing that is crazy. That's what I always say.
The phrase, when it rains, it pours.
But it goes back to what I was saying. It's like, if you're going to start doing stuff,
do it now.
You better just start doing it. Because there's not a moment.
Life is too short.
There's not a moment ahead of where we're talking right now that is promised to you. I mean, you could be sitting here listening to the podcast and the Lord says it's over and it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. It's what it is.
When the Lord pulls your card, ain't nothing in the universe going to stop
that. When it's time, it's time. So y'all better start living like, that if you're going to be doing stuff, you better start acting like y'all trying to do this. Because it's not promised. We've seen too many people pass away. Too many prominent people pass away. I mean, we can talk about just the prominent people all we want. For every prominent person that's passed, there's other people who are not as known who's died. Whether it's senseless killing like those people in Idaho, or like some of these other places, or some other spots. Or it's just some random,
I think person. The one that hit me close was I was reading a story about that mother and daughter who died in that fire in an apartment complex over at Downey.
Right.
That really hit me.
And that's close to home. I mean,
close to home. Yeah.
We could be heading home, and the Lord said, "Hey, you did your job. It's time. It's what it is."
Yeah, I mean, people take it for granted.
People take
it for granted. But
don't ever take it for granted. But you got to start pushing. If you're trying to get to these certain achievements, you better start pushing and acting like you know.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
You better act like you know.
Because it could all end tomorrow.
I mean, it could end in a moment. It doesn't have to end tomorrow. It can end in a moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
honestly, all it takes is the Lord to say, "All right, time to clock out."
When he put the GG in front of your name, man, it's game over. But I mean, I know we're in a better place and stuff for it, but still, if you're trying to do something on this earth and trying to make an impact.
One thing to remember though, as long as the Lord has use for you, you're gonna stick around.
So,
final thoughts, y'all. so I can get y'all home. You get home early?
I'll say this. Like my buddy Young Cam said, if you got something working on, go best do it now. And I'll say it like this: don't be afraid of what's on the other side because it might be for the greater good. Whether you pushing towards it or you just gonna go get it, just do it because the reward can be effortless and beautiful, and it sets you off for life. That's all I got.
Well, I'm in agreement with what my brothers have been saying this whole episode, but more importantly, like I was talking about earlier, at the very beginning of the podcast, the best thing you can do is give yourself to the Lord. And by that I mean bear everything you have at the cross, which means you carry nothing, which means you're not being crushed by the weight of the world. It's the best thing you can do, and it's one thing everyone should do, but unfortunately many people don't. See, people have this thing where they rely on their own strength, and then they're surprised when it fails. Because being human, don't matter how strong you are, being human means you're weak. Compared to God, of course you are. That's why He wants you to put everything on it. He can carry it, so you won't be crushed. So give it to Him. And when you give things to Him, you'll learn not to walk in fear. You see, God does not implant fear in people. Fear is of the devil. When you're afraid, that means the devil doesn't want you to do it. When I'm talking about a venture, I'm saying, there's obviously healthy fear. Like a fear of a bear charging at you. That's normal. That's natural fear. But I mean fear of venturing, fear of expanding, fear of growth, fear of failure. That's a byproduct of the devil. Don't give in to fear. Give in to faith. Rely on faith. Make it your strength. Let the Lord, our God, be your strength. You do that, and you'll find you'll be able to walk the narrow road because He'll be holding you the whole time. People need to realize this. The good word is more than the good word. It's the best news. It's the good news. And if you're curious what I'm talking about and where I get a lot of my perspective about this and whatnot, what I talk about and what I say isn't from me. I'm merely repeating what I've heard and what I've learned. And like I said, if you want to hear more about this, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this has Spotify. Go on to Spotify, look up Grace to You. It's going to be the first thing you see. It's by Pastor John MacArthur. Listen to what he has to say. They're only 30 minutes long. I'm pretty sure everyone can spare 30 minutes at least one day. If not, that's at least your lunch. People get at least a 30 minutes lunch. You can do this. Please, I'm asking you, just listen to that radio show, that podcast, and you'll have a much better perspective on life. I bring this up because, this isn't a fad. I'm not Christian for a month or a little bit, then I go back to acting how I was. This is who I am now. A new creature in the light of the Lord. And I can only pray and hope many of you follow suit in the coming year. Because, not to scare any of you, but we are living in the end of days. The second time, the return of Christ is coming. It's going to happen, which is why I do want to say, repent, believe, and have faith in the Lord. Please. So we may all be brothers and sisters, because we all have one Father. Anyway, Cameron, anything you have to say?
Like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Shit,
I'm
sorry.
I'll tag on into it, but here. Goes into what we just said, but it goes here. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
God has not given us a spirit of fear. So you're going to take chances. You cannot go into Him being afraid. But He's given us what? Power, strength to go through it. Love, compassion for people around us, and a sound mind. to have the clarity to make the proper decisions, even when you don't think it's the right one. So, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of failure because it's going to happen. And those failures happen on purpose, with purpose. Those successes happen on purpose, with purpose. But don't ever think that you don't have the tools to put it all together. Believe it or not, a lot of times you do have the tools. Sometimes you gotta utilize those intangibles that you don't think you have, but you really do. The things that nobody could teach you. Drive, want, motivation. I always tell you, you can't teach those things. You can only show how that applies to people. No fear. Use your power. Use your compassion. Use your mental. You'll walk through everything. That's why I always say it's God above everything. Scripture based. Don't let all the antics and all the stuff, us joking around. Don't let all that stuff fool you. It always has been, it always will be God above everything and everything that we do here.
Yes.
Don't ever think of it otherwise. Yeah, we're gonna joke. Yeah, we're gonna say some stuff that's off the cuff. We do that. We're not perfect either. And I told you that off rip. Not perfect.
I think one thing.
And never will be.
I think one thing people need to realize is some people make the misconception of since you're Christian that means you don't sin.
Right.
That's hilarious.
No. We are not.
What we are is.
We don't think. I always say that people think that. Oh, like you said. Well, like you said earlier. You said that. Oh, you should let people know that you're smart. Yeah, I could let people know that all day long. But I don't have to prove that I'm special.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who needs to really know that I'm special is God himself. I don't need to be. I mean, I know what it's like to have the accolades and to have all the compliments and stuff thrown upon me. I don't.
It's in scripture. You want to be blessed by God, you walk meek, you be humble.
Right.
The lowly walk.
Right. I just don't. I'm cool that I receive it, but it's not like it doesn't make me
you
break.
right.
I don't need the compliments to prove that I'm doing something right. All I need to know is that then I am pushing towards those goals, and I know what that vision is. I know what I need to get to step B, and step C, and step D. Numbers doesn't always dictate success. Success could be the one person who's listening to this podcast who changed their life for the better. I know we've been successful. And I'm going to tell you right now, we've already.
And I want to say this, just like, it don't matter how long we do this. We could do this for the next 10 years. And out of that 10 years, only one person really gets help out of it. It's completely worth it.
Yeah, we did our job.
Because that's one life. And life is so incredibly precious. Just one. It'd be worth it.
You don't understand awful. And I'll tell y'all this, and as the podcast people, and I know y'all tell us this all the time, and I will regurgitate this to the boys. There's always been points in time when people's coming up to me. I know they came up to y'all as well. And they're like, look, what y'all said about this was really, really cool. And it really helped me get to this point. You've already heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Even on topics that wasn't necessarily like this. We heard this about the Brittany Griner thing. We heard this about the money thing. We heard this about the relationship thing. We've heard this stuff. For that alone, I don't care if we didn't get a dime for what we did. For that alone, it was worth every bit of this.
Which is why, dear listener, listening to this.
But if y'all would put some money to us, we could definitely use it. I need some. We trying to get some more. You know what it is. So we picture right. I'm playing. I'm playing.
Go collect the donations.
We don't have like a little plate.
Baby mama, brother, no, we need some
cheddar. But like I said, we working. we working out here. And like I said, I've always been one of those. I know for me, and I can't speak for all of you, but I know for a lot of what I've done, even with my crew cross culture, and when I bring my circle around cross culture, they will attest to this. We didn't put together cross culture for money. We put cross culture because we like to do what we did and the opportunity to bring our music and the message to kids and adults alike, and to see their faces light up was more than enough than any of the money that we got. And I can tell you right now, there's been a lot of money that we received, and 95% of it we gave it all back. Because it wasn't enough money.
Never is.
We did it because we knew that we were supposed to. We knew that it was something that God put upon us to assemble and put together and do. And we did. And we executed cross culture for 20 years. And if it was said tomorrow that we need to reassemble cross culture and go out and do it again, guess what would happen? We will reassemble like Voltron, and we will continue to do this.
It's like that. It's like that scene from Anchorman. Pulls out the conch, goes into it. Assemble.
Yeah, basically, and we do. And don't get it wrong. You know what that would be? It would be literally be a phone call, 3 rehearsals, and we're back on it. And we're back on the deck. That's how it was.
That's it.
But what I say that.
No, you said that.
I say that,
and I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I say that. Basically for us, don't ever think that we could do this for 10 years, 20 years. This is who we are. We are this.
What it be, what it do,
It's what we are. We are the PVC Podcast. That's not going to change. It ain't gonna be a PV and not the C. It ain't gonna be a VC and not the P. This is thought that'd be a calm. We are the PVC Podcast crew. We are here. We're gonna do this. We got a lot of things we want to get out to the people. I know that we were assembled to do this, and I'll be the first to tell you. I know it was intended to do it with us because I knew I had this concept before, and I knew I had to hold it until now. So we're gonna do what we do. So the listeners out there, we're gonna continue to push and grow. And we appreciate every single one of y'all who listens to us. And we've been getting a lot of people out there listening and talking and giving us comments and feedbacks and been popping in. Y'all been just crazy. Y'all don't be popping in on the new stuff. Y'all be popping in on the old stuff. Hey, y'all been back and listen to that? Cool.
I ain't mad at that.
If it helps you out and it gives you some insight, even if it's just some entertainment, I'm with that too.
If you get something out of it, it's worth it.
Even if it's just a kick and a gig on the laugh, like y'all some fools. Yeah, we know that.
They watch. They stupid.
Exactly, and I get them. We get there. Y'all some stupid. Facts. That's a fact. But we have fun in the process. It's not always gonna be. It's not gonna always be serious. You see us. We give you the jokes. We give you the serious. We give you every bit of it. But this is who we are.
These laughs and these smiles are always genuine. Nothing here is forced.
Exactly. We always put this together. We don't do this. I know people think that it's a show. Y'all put it on. This is just who we are. If you saw us at the job, we're the same way. You saw us, in the street doing our thing. We're the same way. We are the same PVC crew. We are no different.
Never change your irrelevant.
Exactly. But besides that, y'all, I gotta get these boys, home, rested. Cause we gotta get back. In the box. Just me. I gotta get back in a couple hours. I don't know what I'm doing. But it's definitely a privilege and an honor to do this. Like always. It's been episode 38 dash 23 because we actually so one of the things that we've been doing, I know a lot of people's been liking, we've been doing the podcast in shorter doses. So instead of doing like a big block podcast, and I may do certain episodes in a big block, and I may do certain episodes chopped up. So don't get too alarmed if y'all see like small doses. Like certain people like the smaller package episodes, so we're gonna give you a little bit of both.
We make it bite size.
Right, so we do a little bit of both. So we do bite size, and we may do one like a full package, the hour and a half. So hey, but in either event, we definitely appreciate y'all rocking. It's definitely a privilege and an honor to do this. It's always good to have my boys together. I got my man Paul, I got my man Vic. Y'all know who I am. My name's Cam, aka Mr. Nerve Boy Fresh.
Freaky.
And you know who we be. We're the PVC Podcast crew. This is Laying Pipe with the PVC Podcast crew. Like always, it is God above everything. Till the next time, family, we will do this again soon. Salute.
Much love and respect.